Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing very well. I'm glad to see you all here. Um, this time, I would like to show you the evolution that we have added to the editing tools on version 6. We need to mention that the editing tools that is in 5.3, we have also added on 6, but we have added some other buttons and new functionalities that can help you to do somehow professional some edits. We never have considered ourselves to be a software that can make online tasks, but if you have any job that needs some quick turnarounds, you can do it now with these new editing tools. These editing tools that we have evolution in version 6 is also in Baselight Look. And I mention this because these two softwares are the only ones that have a timeline that you can play with. So again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to do it. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Many thanks.
In Baselight version 6, we have modified the way to interact with the timeline in regards to the online tools. Before, the editing tools were a bit limited and focused only in grading tasks. Now, in Baselight version 6, we have added a new few more icons to give you, our users, a better experience for editing, just in case there's a need to do a basic online operation. Let me introduce you this new feature that is called Edit Mode. To enable the new edit mode, simply press the following shortcut, that is, Shift plus Enter, and the timeline will change, or the timeline part that is in the top. Or simply by pressing the edit button here. Notice when edit mode is not enabled, by hovering the mouse over the stacks, there won't be a blue, yellow, green, red indicator in the middle of the strip. This is to grab or move strips, but also the edit mode buttons will now appear in the upper bottom bar.
So this is won't be confusing for you.
Let's start with a basic editing task. I'm going to explain from the basic editing to an advanced level and some examples. It could be sometimes challenging if we don't review in detail the basic kung fu movements of editing in the new mode, which has been now simplified in version 6. So we have the following sequences. For now, we're going to interact without grades, only with the input layer. We're going to add some layers later on.
But I would like to show you this first. So we see this shot
that has from 1 to 28 frames. The first task that we are going to do is simply a cut.
Take the cursor on any position of the frame and press off the scissors icon, or by pressing the shortcut C. Remember that all the shortcuts of these new tools appears while hovering your mouse over icons like on this, or this, and this. Need to mention that some keyboard shortcuts change when you are in edit mode. When it's not enabled, most of the shortcuts are the same as in 5.3. But in edit mode, quite a few have changed to allow quicker keyboard-based timeline editing.
Let's press Command Z to read our last action, and let's do another cut in another way.
Which is this by doing mark editing.
Let's press the icon Mark Selection Shot Gap Sequence in and out, or by pressing in the shortcut Command plus N, and we will encompass with two yellow bars with giant yellow arrows indicating the mark in and mark out of the selection. Let's move around to another shot and press the last shortcut. By the way, I'm moving with the shortcut Z or X in case you're wondering. In the panel, there's explicit buttons to move between shots. Now, let's move and select a group of shots and press the surrounding mark in, mark out actions. See that the yellow bars will encompass our selection. Or let's do a selection where a gap is in between, like in the following. Remember, if we get ourselves out of edit mode, mark in, mark out, neither will work or happen any reaction on the timeline. So this is how, roughly speaking, editing marks works in Baselight. So let's now use the following icons in the bottom bar that will give you another interesting editing results. that are lift and extract. Using lift, we're going to remove the selection of the shot and leave a potential gap, like in the following example. Let's select this shot and mark it in and mark it out by pressing the shortcut Command N as we know. And press lift icon or the shortcut U as indicated by the pop-up help window. Basically, after pressing lift, the edit will clear up some space where the shot was or the shots were in the case there's a group. Now, let's do the same in the third shot. Let's press now extract or the shortcut I and see the fourth shot taking place where the marks are. So that will help us in the case there's a gap that we can cover like in the following example. We place the cursor in this gap, then press again mark in and mark out with the shortcut Command N. And by pressing extract, it will remove or close the gap, like we said. You also can select a range of shots to do this kind of operation, like in the following example. We are selecting some shots of this group and only the ones selected will be extracted.
So then the rest of the timeline is rippled to fill up the gap.
Now, there are other buttons here at the top that could help you doing cuts in a manual way. And this is by these two icons, mark in and mark out. Let's make an example. Just select some part of this shot and press mark in or the shortcut B and select the middle of the next shot. Let's press the command Alt plus X to exactly fall in the middle of the next shot. Let's press the shortcut N and let's press now lift. Lift will leave a gap between these two shots, but if we redo and execute extract, it won't leave any gap, like this. Again, the shortcuts are lift by pressing U in your keyboard, extract by pressing I in your keyboard. You can also start over marking in and mark it out by pressing the shortcut Shift plus Command plus N in your Mac.
There's another way of adding an in and out point which was in 5.3 and is available also in version 6. This will work if either the timeline is on and off, and this is by pressing the following shortcut. To create a marking, simply press the following shortcut, that is Shift plus open bracket, and let's move a little bit forward on this shot and press Shift and close bracket to create an output point. And we want to create addition here, and let's press lift or with the shortcut U to lift this gap. And let's remove the mark in mark out markers with the following shortcut Shift Command and N. Now that are gone, let's close this gap. To close gap, simply press the following shortcut, that is Shift plus Command plus K, and it will close the gap between these two shots. Again, this is also available in 5.3 and also is available if edit mode is off. Now, if we have some gaps along all the scene, like in this scene there is a gap in the front, and we redo this scene and we press the following shortcut, it will close all the gaps all together, that is Shift plus Alt plus Command plus K, and it will close all the gaps that we have in the scene.
Let's now talk about two editing modes that are used professionally these days, and these are trim and move. While hovering over them with the mouse, you can notice its name and the shortcut. Both have different reaction while interacting with the shot. For example, having ripple enabled by default, we select the head and the tail of a shot, and it will move along its own range or position, and move will interact along with the timeline. We are going to explain each of them in depth in the following minute. But let's see how both work right now as a first instance. Let's select sleep over the first shot and let's see how it interacts. And with move, It moves the shot without overlapping any shots. Let's talk about trim. Trim allows you to drag and trim the head and tail of a shot in a ripple mode. Basically, it adds frames of better called handles, or reduce the amount of the handles of a specific shot or group of shots.
Notice that the edit bracket width can be customized as a default is very narrow and one can barely notice the selection. To change this, simple go and click over here on Baselight, then Preferences, click over the Timeline tab and go to the selection that is in this sub-level called Edit Mode Setting, and where it says Edit Bracket Width, you can change the width of it to a higher number. See the immediate change over the timeline. So by default is 5, but let's put something very noticeable like close to 8 maybe, or a higher number.
Depending of where your mouse either is in the tail over the head of the shot, and by moving it slowly from the beginning of the shot to the end of it, you can tell 4 subtle operations, which are roll, trim, slide, and slip, like in the following example. Now let's hover the mouse over this shot from the beginning to the end, and we will see all these phases that trim could offer. This is roll, then trim, slide, and then slip. Then at the middle changes back to slide, trim, and finally again roll. You should also notice that in the upper icon being light up while hovering the mouse along the shot, it will help you instead of aiming to the correct trim mode by the mouse. Here's something interesting to know. The cursor will play an important role as it will help you to correctly select either if it's a trim out or a trim in action, or roll of a head or tail of a shot.
If we are located in the head of the shot and we click on trim out, it won't work as the cursor is close to the beginning of the shot. So basically it will act in function where the cursor is in the shot. The different brackets and the shading colors indicate the type of the edit which will be performed. Green for a slip, orange as a slide, red as a ripple, and also notice that these colors can be changed in the preference. To do this, simply just go to the Baselight, then Preferences, and you can see these options at the same level of where we change the edit bracket width in the edit mode setting. That is right here. But we set the ripple color to red as there is a warning which can be affect another shot in the timeline, and also it can change the original synchronization relationship within the shot in the timeline. So let's leave it like it is.
Now let's see how each work. Let's select the head of a shot and let's enable roll. Roll will increase or reduce the handles and it will leave the tail of the timeline in the position intact. Also notice that edit mode will acknowledge how many frames are added or reduced in a green bar that is located over here. Let's now enable trim out and it will acknowledge again how many frames are added or reduced. But notice the difference of the tail which is now being trimmed down.
Let's see also how roll reacts when you are in the middle of two shots. So let's move to this two shot that we have here and let's put the cursor between these two shots. Let's enable the roll with the shortcut W, as we can notice also here, and let's move the these two brackets to the right. Notice right away that in the media bar we are seeing that the first shot is being added with some handles, and at the same time we are seeing that the second shot will be reduced with some handles, and the same thing goes if we select over here and click W to enable roll, and we move to the left, we see that the second shot will have less handles, but the third will have more handles. Something interesting to know here is that when I'm hovering the mouse, we can see some semi-transparent brackets happening of the shots, or even if we select the shot here, the same it goes with it. So It means that we are indicating the mouse as an interactive mode to select the edit point and type. As soon as I click with the mouse on it, it will set the point and the brackets will become solid. For example, here, you see the uh, orange bracket will light up, and that means that we can now interact with it more in a friendly way. Also, if we are not using the mouse, we can select also the shortcuts in the keyboard, and as soon as I press the shortcuts on the keyboard, the parentheses or the brackets will become solid. That means that it will set the edit mode in the correct way right away. If you want to release the edit point and mode, either you want to change it from roll to trim out or trim in, it's just matter to select or click over the timeline or simply press shift and enter to disable it. So once we are hovering of this mouse, it will disable the selection of this interactive mode. One of the edit tools that we are missing to mention is a slide. A slide can be so powerful because it can delete some shot that we have in your timeline. So for example, let's select this shot and let's enable a slide with Shift plus S, and let's move it to the right position where it can overlap these files. As you can notice, it somehow goes through these shots, and if I go beyond where the three shots were, it can somehow delete them. So I can appear them again if I move to the left, but notice that I'm not releasing my mouse. As soon as I release my mouse, once that and I wanted to shove them back again with the same editing tool, it won't appear back. So it will simulate if it were like a old school BTR.
Let's talk about move, which is way too easy. We enable move with the letter Y as a shortcut, and let's select a shot. The edges of the strip will now appear in blue. And drag the strip, it will move the adjacent strips. By enabling the shortcut W, you will move the current shot to the left or right to along with the timeline. Notice that also you can press the icons on the top and they will help you to precise which size of the shot you want to move. Let's select this shot and let's move it to the left or right. You could say that it moves the same as a trim, and you're right.
Notice that the move edit mode will never change the sync of the other shots in the timeline or remove any other parts of the other shots, unlike the trim mode. Always leave the other shots exactly as they are, but it might hide them if it overlaps. To almost finalize this edit mode tutorial, let's notice these errors on top that it will help you to move with the precise number of frames to the left or the right. Like in the following example. On this still shot, when the move is enabled, you can move frame by frame to the left or in tandem of 10 frames.
The same goes when trim is selected. Let's redo our timeline. We select trim with the shortcut T, and let's select the head of the shot with the trim in. It will move nicely frame by frame as we have mentioned. Also, there's a cogwheel. If we click on it, it will give you two options. One is handle protection and other is use display view to shot edit multi-view while editing. So let's call it by now editing display view. The first handle protection is enabled by default, and it will prevent to go beyond the current data or frames or handles that the shot can have or offer, like the following example. If we disable handle protection on these shots by using it or by moving it with all these editing modes that we have explained, you will have crosses in the video display.
And the amount of available material is shown in the media bar as you perform the edit. Again, if we disable the handle protection, you can go beyond the end of available media, but the bar will turn red, and this is to warn you the number of frames that has passed the end. And also it will show you the frame count in negative values.
The editing display view will give you a simple footage vision of the adjacent shot without creating cursors. That will help you to know about at which point you are reducing the neighbor shot while moving the current one like the following example. Let's select our third and favorite shot and let's roll and move it to the left and right. The editing display view will show you the second shot in the left, right, and in the right below the fourth shot with the slide. As we have mentioned before, sleep will keep where the shot is seated in the timeline, so it won't interfere with any other adjacent shots.
Last but not least, snap. This is a typical way to pull the shot next to each other, so when it reaches a neighbor sequence or a mark, it will snap naturally as if it were a magnet. Let's do and let's take a look to this example.
Let's select these first two shots with trim. And we can feel that while moving close into the third shot, it will stick. It will go beyond with the movement of the mouse. The former is a bit hard to explain in a video because it's down more to the sensibility of when you're moving the shots to each other. So you will notice that again, when you are close to another shot, you will see how these two shots will interact and they will stick naturally as a magnet. Now let's practice a bit what we have learned.
Right, so let's do some basic editing tasks that we have learned from this tutorial. So what we can do here is just probably navigate 500 in the shots forward by pressing the plus and 500 in our numeric keypad and press enter. Then we can then do a cut here by pressing the shortcut C, and we can go on the previous now on the first shot and make the surrounding markouts with the command N to remove this piece of the shot where the clapping card is, and we don't want to leave any gap. Just press with the shortcut I to extract. On this second shot, what we want to do is probably remove the potential gap that we are seeing here hidden in the timeline, which is very noticeable. But if we zoom it in, or we can take a look to the cut views, we see it here. What we can do is just by pressing the Shift, Command, and K to remove this gap. On this third shot, we can remove it simply by selecting it again and press it with Command N. Maybe, you know what, let's change it now to calculate from the half of the shots, and let's press Alt and Z to fall into the poster frame, and let's enable the marking manually with the letter B, and let's just extract this part of the shot with the lift. So to make the lift, just pressing the shortcut U, and we can see that we have left a gap here. So let's press our close gap shortcut, that is again with Shift, Command, and K. So by doing this, we are going to just move the this third shot to the left and along all the timeline, and that's it. On this fourth shot, what we want to do is maybe just trim in some of the frames in the beginning of it, probably 500. And to do this, we should just by enabling the trimming shortcut, that is with pressing the letter E. Notice again that parenthesis is solid. That means if do something else or right click, I will be disabled. And again, if I select it back again, it will not be out of this edition mode. So let's move 500 frames on this one, and we're happy, right? So in this last shot, what we want to do is probably left the shots with probably just 10 frames. we can notice that its length is 1693. And what we can do here is just with the edit mode in trim in, we can reduce only probably um, let's see 1693. So that will leave us only with 10 frames shot. So we can notice here is like that. So it's ready to go. Over this section that we're seeing in this scene, we're seeing that these shots are a little bit of a mess. So what we can do here is just using now our new mode called move. We can do it with enable with the letter Y. And once we have it enabled, we can see that we can manipulate the shots in a very easy way now. So let's select this and put it down. And in order to put it down, we are just by pressing the shortcut Alt and the arrow key to pressing down many times, and also with the first shot. So let's select it and let's put it on the at the rock cursor. But notice when we are putting it down, we are somehow affecting the next shot. So what we can do here is just moving a little bit to the left and let the snap do their thing. So it will help you to avoid having any gap. So if we put this down to the road cursor, it will not have any problems. And here we can probably just do the shortcut of Shift Command and K to close the gap. And to finish the tutorial, what we can do here is just probably delete all these files. We can easily do it just by selecting and click delete. But let's use our and make some conscious about what will happen if we do it with the slide. So enable slide, just simple select or pressing your keyboard Shift plus S, and then let's move to the right and let's leave it and put it to the left back again. So just to close this tutorial, let's close all these gaps with the following shortcut, and this is with pressing Shift Alt Command and K. So all the shots will be next to each other. So we have now our project done and ready to be delivered to our producers. All right, guys. Many thanks to everybody who have connected. I hope that this video tutorial will help you in make some more advanced tasks that we are going to use in our jobs. Also, it will help you to in the case that you're going to probably use it with tracks that we are going to show in another tutorial. And in the mix with tracks and the following tutorial that will be compositing titles, we will be creating a more complex delivery probably for IMF or something more professional that where customer have asked us before. So many thanks again to everybody have connected and I appreciate your time and I'll see you next. Bye bye.